Welcome, folks. I am Technivorous. Today, we are going to be discussing Tom Maryland's song from his introduction in the Wheel of Time series on Amazon. Now, I thought this was an epic intro, and if you want to talk about Glee, man, no pun intended, but I am a kid in a candy store with this tune. I mean, his voice, his look, everything, I mean, they just nailed it. As you saw in the thumbnail, you can see the patchwork cloak. It is the interior of the overcoat that he's wearing. I think that is awesome and an excellent way to work that in without making it too cartoony. Also, we're going to dive into the lyrics right now and take a look at this. So for those of you that don't know, this song is about the dragon. Now, the man they call the dragon, not to be confused with the Dragon Reborn, who we're waiting for to show up in the series. The man that they call the dragon is a man that was known as Lews Therin Telamon. Now, I'm not going to get too much into his description right now, but I am going to tell you a lot about him because these lyrics explain pretty much all of his story in pretty good detail. So it's not overly detailed and it's not too deep, but the gist of it is there. And for those of you who know the story of Lews Therin Telamon, you'll see that his tragedy is very, very obviously brought to life in this song. Now, this song was not in the book. It was made for the TV show as a transition piece, and it is a excellent way for them to introduce this character of Tom Maryland. So let's jump over to some pictures I got, and we'll take a look. The first slide is the opening of the song, and as you can see, he talks about the colors of his morning. And then the next slide is the darkness of his night. So this is a reference to the potential and ability that Lews Therin had, and the tragedy of the way in which it was taken from him. Now, this has a lot to do with the taint of the One Power, and that is what actually drove him mad. He was one of the first to touch it when it was corrupted and become corrupt himself, although it was unbeknownst to him. He kind of lost his mind, and that leads into the next line, little graves that gave no warning, and in this case he's talking about his children. Lews Therin went mad and murdered his whole family, his children included, and his wife, whose name was Ileana, and he referred to as his son. And hence the next line, a son that brought no light. It's not talking about the literal son, it's talking about Ileana, his son, and unfortunately he killed her, so she was no longer living or bringing light. And in that instance, he saw his whole world breaking. His world was destroyed. Tom speaks of him as this tortured soul he met. However, Tom couldn't have been alive when the dragon was alive, so this either must be a really, really old song, or there is something deeper to that line in saying that everybody knows the dragon, or has a piece of the dragon, or has a tragedy in their life, and is a little bit tortured. And then the next line is in a prison of his making. Again, this is another reference to the fact that he is the one that tortured himself by killing his family and going mad. Now, it is important to note that Ishmael had a big part in this and kind of helped to drive him mad. And in fact, when Lews Therin kills his family, he's wandering around his castle in the prologue to the first book, and he's looking for everybody, and he can't even find them. He's so mad he doesn't see them. Everything seems to be in order. He's calling out to them, and they don't show up. And finally, Ishmael shows up, and he wants him to see what he's done because he wants him to feel the pain. So Ishmael actually uses the true power, not the one power, the true power, to heal him. And it's very painful, and it works and heals him. And Lews Therin looks around and sees what he did, and sees Ileana, and sees his children, and pretty much goes actual crazy. So the taint made him mad, but the tragedy of what he had done is actually what drove him insane. Because at the point where Ishmael heals him, technically, he is lucid enough that he is coherent and making sense, and everything is back in clarity for him. So the next thing that you see is the line, the man who can't forget. And he can't forget, obviously, because he did this, and it was his fault, but he knows that he was tricked as well. So there's a brooding inside him, an urge, a need, a want for revenge, which is not really a good thing, but there is, you see it as it manifests inside the Dragon Reborn, that he wants to make things right, not necessarily to get revenge so much as he wants to fix the things that he broke. And it says, I can still hear the way he cried for the ones he was missing. That's a fairly obvious line. He was missing his wife and his children. And I can still hear the way that he cried for the ones he had lost. Again, talking about his wife and children. Now, this line here is something I think was slipped in because it worked well with the song and things kind of flowed nicely with it. And the next couple of lines as well. But this line, I want you to think, what do you see in this picture when he says he saw them in the rivers? You see these two boys from the two rivers. So cinematically, there's also this connotation that Tom is looking directly at these two and recognizing them, because he tells Matt later that, you know, if you don't want to be known from the two rivers, don't dress like you're from the two rivers. It's written all over your clothes. So this is the moment that he sees them. Then the next line is, he felt them in the rain. And then in dreams he heard them whisper the truth that is his pains. Basically, it was tormenting him and torturing him that he was the one that killed them. So, at that point, it changes. Now, remember the original line was, he saw his whole world breaking, that tortured soul I met. After being tortured in his dreams and realizing and them whispering the truth that is his pain, the line becomes, he caused the whole world's breaking, that tortured soul I met. In a prison of his making, the man who can't forget. So it goes from basically saying, oh, he destroyed his world, to going so mad that he destroyed the whole world. And it's important to note that the actual breaking of the world is attributed to Lews Therin. There is a mountain in this world that is called the Dragon Mount, situated in sight of Tar Valon, which is actually the site of the place where he broke the world. And he kind of drew on way too much of the one power, even though it was tainted, and he did some really, really damaging things, because basically he lost control. He drew in as much power as he possibly could, trying to absorb it all, or burn it all away, or cleanse it, or there's several theories about what he was trying to do. All we really know is that he wasn't successful. So this song is a really, really deep song. You can see the anguish in Tom's face when he sings this. The actor that plays Tom Maryland is my favorite actor in this show by far right now. I'm really, really pleased with the introduction. I'm happy with the little subtle nod to the patchwork cloak. Everything is pretty much to a T with him so far, and he is an amazing character to watch. You'll see him disappear in another episode or two, but spoiler alert, he'll be back. Nobody ever stays dead for it. Well, that's not true. People do stay dead forever in this world. But we are going to wrap this video up, guys. If you have any questions, comments, or anything down below, leave them in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. We might do a video on Weep for Manetheren, but the fact of the matter is they explained what that song meant pretty well in the actual show. So we might just skip that one. I am really hoping that when Tom meets back up with the boys, there are a lot more songs going on, and that we get to hear more singing from Tom Maryland, because I thought that was really, really enjoyable. And a lot of times these days you hear TV shows trying to do musical episodes and cram a song in here or there. There are certain places in which it works. Like, yeah, on the road they start singing a tune. I understand that. And obviously Tom's character is technically a bard. He's what they call a gleeman in this world, which is somebody who recites history and tells stories and things like that. So I'm curious to see if it brings up any of the different chants that it talks about in the books, or anything like high chant or anything like that. But there is a lot more content coming from Tom, I am sure, and hopefully some of it is musical, because this song is just beautiful. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, and we will see you in the next one.